Okay, so I just got home. It's around midnight right now. I've been working all night at my job. The parts came in and well, I just have to fit them now. I'll show you. Of course I've looked in it already, but this is the cover for the for the oil pump. As you can see, there's room for a oil ring. It goes in here and is small, so it doesn't start leaking, but it is stuck on the material. Because if you put something like paper between it or something else that has a thickness, the oil pump is leaking oil in between the material and the pump itself, and that's not what you want. Now I'll take this thing out. If you look at that. This is the side cover. This small part here I had already 3D printed to make sure it was all fitting well. Well, this part was right, but I don't know if everything fits. Let's find out. First, put some holes in it. Let's see. Right now I just used these screws, but in the end it's gonna be those countersunk ones. We made a small dent in here, and when you turn the bolts on, you can stab them with a hammer and make a small dent in here so they don't get loose and get in the engine, because it's in the engine bay. Let's see. A little bit difficult to do all this by one hand, but let's see if it fits. There you go. It's all hanging a little bit loose, but it's just to make sure everything fits right. For as far as I can see, it's all pretty amazing. I love to see how all the small pieces exactly the same as the piece on the engine. Right here is a big hole right now. It's gonna be an oil sealant in here, and there's gonna be a part that we have to machine right now. We can fit the clutch in, something like this. Let's take a moment to look at this. All shiny. The rest of the engine is gonna be shiny too, but this is actually an engine that's broken, and the other engine, because we have two, the other engine is completely apart, and all the broken parts are gonna be remade or ordered new, and then we can fit this cover onto that. But to build the frame and everything, we needed another engine, so I thought, well, the broken engine that was laying around is good for that, and then we don't have to think about it when you start welding and all the welding stuff gets on the engine and so on. It's not a problem for us now. As you can see, it's very narrow, but that's because normally the clutch is inside the engine, and in this case it's like on a Ducati, the clutch is outside the engine, so the cover can be a lot nearer to the car, or to the engine. Well, here is going to be the oil pump. The cover that I was showing, this one. See, there's one hole bigger than the other two, like this. And there's an area here for the copper hose, goes in here, so the oil goes from the pump to here, and it goes all the way through this thing, that's the oil cooler, and then it goes into the engine. Because the oil pump is from a car, it has a lot more capacity than the original one, and everything that's actually too much for the engine, because you don't want like an enormous amount of oil coming through the engine, because that's not good for it either. You just want the right amount, and everything that's too much goes in here, and there's a small ball that regulates the pressure of the oil, and everything that's too much goes as coolant underneath the piston to make sure the piston is not getting too hot, because it's getting a lot more heat in it due to this thing, the supercharger that we talked about in previous videos. So it basically puts more air and more fuel into the engine, which means more power. I think it looks neat. There's gonna be some plates here on the side too, to make sure everything is nice and fit, and it can hold the high pressure inside the cylinder head and stuff. The front wheel, it's the original one. I put an old tire that I had laying around on it just to make sure everything fits right, and in the end when we finish the bike, of course there's gonna be a new tire on it. But it's gonna be something like this, the Avon Speedmaster, very well known tire for stuff like this. The front brake, it's actually a lot bigger than the original one. This one comes from a Harley. I saw it on my Road King and I measured it, and I thought I can make it fit to this bike. So I machined out the inside. The diameter is a lot bigger in this particular wheel than the original Harley wheel is. We've got some aftermarket brake calipers. They're 4-pot, and in the back there's gonna be the same one. Well, we actually took the front wheel, and I'm gonna use the front wheel as the rear wheel too. Normally it's a smaller one at the back, but I think it looks cool to have both the same sizes, only the size of the rear tire is a little bit bigger. So it's 19 inch, but it's 4 pound, I believe. Let's see where it is. Yeah. Well, turn it around. 4.0. And in the front, it's 3.25, so it's a little bit smaller, but when you look at it from a small distance, I think it just looks right. Now the frame, it's still like the soft tail with a spring in the back, but we're gonna cut it up so the fuel tank can be lowered a few centimeters. And the frame is going to go all the way through here, like a straight line from up to here, and then to the engine back. Here's going to be the supercharger. Well, this is not actually the bar that's going to be on it. They're going to be clip-ons, very low, not the best position to ride, but I think it looks cool when you look at the bike, or when you want to go fast. It's great. On this side of the bike there's nothing on the wheels, but there's a lot to see, of course. The exhaust is going this way, but the wheel is just spokes, and there's gonna be a sprocket brake, which means the chain is going on this, but there's also a brake caliper on that. So when it's on the side stand, you just see those long spokes, the exhaust, the supercharger, the shiny side of the bike. Well, the seat, this is the one that was originally on this bike when I first built it as a bobber. I've driven it for a couple of years and then it broke down, and we decided to completely rebuild the bike. But there's gonna be another seat on it, so this is just to give some idea and to look at it and think a little bit more to the left or to the right. You know, it's always difficult to find the exact right spot for the parts. But when it's not on the right spot, you immediately see it.
Many unbearable hours later.
Well, evening guys. I had planned to show you in a video how I disassembled the engine from the Suzuki. Well, I've got two engines with it. One is like a dummy to make the frame and everything fit, and in the meantime the other engine is fully apart, and I cleaned it and sandblasted some parts, and the other parts I polished up a little bit, and then I made a small list of parts that was broken or that I wanted to improve, like the oil pump that was too small. It wasn't broken, but we needed a bigger oil pump because that's a problem all these engines got. One of the other things is the drive shaft, or the big end, and this thing, I don't know if you can see it in the dark, it's here, as you can see it's cracked. Well, you don't have to be a technician to understand this isn't good. So, but I think we're gonna reproduce this thing from aluminium, so we can make it a little bit bigger, stronger, but still wide enough. And then we need this part. It's actually right here. You can see the spot where it broke, and then we can press this thing on again with a new bearing and everything in it, and then it should work. But I didn't have time to do that, so that's for another video. Right now we have this moped. It's called a Kreidler. I have to fix it for a mate of mine. Whole winter it was in my living room, but now the sun is out. It's too slow for me actually. I like the motorcycle better, and he likes to drive around town a little bit and go to the cafe with it. So I should check it out a little bit, but it's already midnight, so I gotta do it quick. Well, as you can see, I just pressed the bike a little bit on the side and put the moped in the garage. It's a little bit dusty, needs some cleaning, but other than that it looks fabulous. It's not like brand new, there are some dents in it, as you can see. I don't think that's a bad thing, because in the end it's an old moped, and a lot of people restore those like brand new. I like that too. I'm actually building one right now, a little bit older than this one. That's gonna be brand new, but this one is all original, and I think it's cool to keep it like that. So the small pieces of paint that are missing and stuff, it gives it a little bit more to feel like it's been used, but they've been kind with it. This thing hasn't run in quite a while. I believe it's like 6 months ago. There's still fuel in it. It's high octane, because low octane fuel and a long time not being used is the good combination. Let's see, open this thing, make sure to get fuel down there. That's the choke. When you get full throttle, you can see it popping out again. Now you just put it in and it's on the choke. It doesn't have a kickstarter, it just has those pedals with this cool thing. You just flip this thing up, and as you can see, it's like a lever. Now they can roll back and you can just pedal it on. Well, then you put the ignition on. Let's see if it runs. Can you imagine standing still that long and then just starting that easy? But they don't make them as good as this anymore, and I don't think electric things will ever be like that, because when I got some electric shit laying around and you don't use it for a half a year, the accu is already broken, the battery is broken. So yeah, this is quite amazing. It's a 4-speed, there are also 5 speeds, and I even made some stuff for a mate of mine that has a 6-speed in it right now, but it's all very small inside the engine and there's not so much room. But well, when racing you can imagine that every gear brings something good, so people like to spend a lot of money on a small gearbox to get one extra gear out of it. Well, and this thing is just pure for fun, so even the 4-speed is good enough. Well, as I said, I'm currently building a Knuckle for myself too, like a moped, but it's gonna be a 90cc, so it's like a big engine that goes a lot quicker than the original one. We're aiming at about 25 horsepower, and original I believe it's 3 or something like that. Like I roll here. I don't know if you can see how shiny it is on the camera, but in real life it's amazing. Well, Marco, the same guy that painted Jan's gas tank, painted all this stuff. And the clear coat on it is very thick layers, but it gives it this deep, dark look. I love it. And then the gas tank really is amazing. Look at this. There are no stickers on it, it's all painted. The letters are painted, the gold, the lines, everything. Well, that's about it for this video. I know it's not a lot of information, or actually a lot of information, but not a lot of cool stuff to look at, like real bikes and stuff. But I think you can enjoy the process too, and when the bike is finished, you got kind of an idea where it all came from and where the ideas came from, and well, why it took so long to get finished. But see you next time.